So just to kind of, I don't know where everyone has kind of heard or not heard at this point in the haircut.
recap.
So just to kind of recap here, let's kind of go over our sectioning a little bit again.
And give it just a minute yet, even just let people come in a little bit more.
Okay.
Because they're coming in.
Okay, cool. And like, so just to kind of reiterate, even water, even tension, balanced cutting line, you know? So to kind of get our sectioning is what I did, is I laid this little comb at the top of the skull, yeah? With a balanced head. Wherever the comb lifts off the skull, that's right where I want to bring forward. And this right here is gonna be my fringe area, my fringe connection. So, and this is just based on the skull shape alone. Every single size of skulls is different from one human to the next. So always kind of doing this little trick kind of helps me balance everything and make sure it's proportionate to their head shape and making sure that it makes sense with, does it work?
Yeah.
You can't hear again? Okay.
Oh, loud and clear. Sorry, I think it's louder, please.
Sorry.
Sweet.
Okay.
I'm misunderstood.
I'm like, okay, so now what we're gonna be doing is I'm gonna be over directing everything to my, right where my guide kind of falls out here, right? And now what I'm gonna be doing is kind of breaking into some of this weight and breaking into some of this, so I can see a little split right through here, right? So I know that I'm gonna be doing a little bit larger strokes to kind of cut out that weight, and there drops out my length. There drops out my little thing, so I can go back through here and just see how those little curls just kind of bounce right through and break up. That's the beauty thing about cutting with curls with a razor, you know? And like I said before, it's like you get to create shape and movement at the same time. I am a razor and a scissor cutter. I like to use both tools. And after this too, as we get the shape diffused, I will be doing some detail work with my scissor. But right now, just to kind of influence the shape, I wanted to use the razor so you guys could see that you can cut curly hair with a razor, as some people have said not to do before. Kind of a little myth, I would say, you know? It just creates a lot more movement, a lot more fluidity. So now you can kind of see as the shape kind of breaks down, you can kind of see this beautiful rounded little openness. Now what I'm gonna be doing is kind of coming through right where this bone lifts off the skull right through here, and I'm gonna break up some of this weight. So it lives a little bit leaner on the skull, so she has a lot more pop through the crown area too, because I want to create a lot more lift and volume through the parietal ridge and above. So I want there to be like a lot of space and movement living in the parietal ridge area above the parietal ridge. So it's going to fill out and have this beautiful afro effect with just this little cutout around the face, so we can kind of open it up a little bit so you can see the movements and the different dimensions of curls that this beautiful human has.
Yes, Rebecca, it is a Farrah cut.
A Farrah cut? Little Farrah? Yeah, a little Farrah, a little Bridget, a little Diana Ross.
Yes.
A little Diana Ross, shall we say?
Give me share hair.
Share hair, please. Thank you.
Jennifer's asking, does this way of cutting create split ends?
I would say no. It's about the technique and the approach, and obviously it can, you know, if it's not cut properly. That's why an even amount of moisture on the hair, an even amount of tension on the hair, and your cutting line has to be...
Your tension with that's so big too, and just
yeah,
good blade.
Tension is so big on cutting curly hair and just creating that, you know, sternness. So I just took my first section and I just took it straight up from where it lives off of the skull. So you can kind of see my little guide now drop out, right?
Let me see that guy.
And that's good. I want my guide to kind of live dropped out because I don't want to take this too lean through here. But now I can just go through. There's my little guide. Cut some short to long pieces through the top. And then I know that I want this to live a little bit leaner through the top area. So I'm just going to remove that little corner to it through the top. And now you can see she's starting to get a little bit more lift through this top area too. So again, I'm going to take my third section now, and everything is going to be living straight up from where it lives again. And I'm just kind of taking the blade and just like running it through just at a nice little angle. So you can kind of see through here. I'm just removing that little bit of bulk through the top. And I can remove some of the weight through here, and then move it through the top area. She's getting some bounce back in her little hairs.
I can see it happening.
It's coming, it's coming, yay. I know, and that's the one thing that I loved about Kat is she's been in the industry for a while too. She's been working as the receptionist, and she works at another great salon, or did work at another great salon in town, but so I knew that I had a little bit of creative freedom to play with her and just create something a little bit, you know, out of her comfort zone, but also like something that she can see. She just fell in love with her curls again too, which is something that is super important to me. So I don't want to do anything that's going to compromise that love for her new curls, you know, so
Revamp them.
revamp and you know, just
Reimagine
add
them.
some life to them again, you know.
This is looking like a Christmas tree for a little bit.
It was a little triangular. She got a little triangle vibes, you know. But as you can kind of start to see as it starts to dry now, I'm like, I can kind of see through here. I'm gonna kind of come through and just break up some of this weight. Because I want this right behind the ear, there's always weight and bulk, you know? So I'm gonna let that kind of lift down here, and I'm gonna kind of take this little piece, this little corridor, I keep using that word, I don't even know where that came from. Corridor, I guess you could say. But I kind of want to just evaluate the bend in the hair. And right where that little bend, right through this little crease, that's where I know if I kind of just come through here, break that little guy up, it'll just allow a little bit of space for that ear to kind of sit in. And it just like opens up that little area behind the ear. So when this starts to grow out, it's going to live with a lot more leaner around the ear. It's not going to be so heavy and weighted. It's just a little bit cleaner. And now I can kind of see too if I want to come back through and just remove some of this bulk through the interior. Because I'm like, and that's the beautiful thing about curls is you really get to visual. It's a very visual and technical approach to anything, you know. But with curls, you can actually see the weight in there, you know, and be able to remove the weight internally and still create that proper shape that you're looking for. See how solid that line is through here? I don't really see a lot of like shortness coming through. So again, I'm just gonna kind of go through and just break up some of that weight. Cool. And like I said, I want this to kind of live with a little bit more fullness. And I'm going to evaluate it as it starts drying. I'm going to do, like I said, my detail work at the end and see if we need to go a little bit shorter around the fringe maybe. But I think it's going to be a perfect length as it starts drying right around the face. And I'm like, oh, since I did my little thing, sorry, babe.
No, it's great.
Mask off. I'm like, let's see. So since I did that little thing around the ear on the other side, I'm going to come back through this side. And it's just like a little triangular panel, really. Just because everything right behind the ear just gets bulky and heavy as it starts to grow in. So I've learned this little trick. If you just gotta take this, look for that little bend in the hair, and then just break up that little weight line through there. And I'm just using little strokes. I'm just breaking up some of that weight so that ear can live a little bit more free, and it now has a little bit of a disconnection through the bottom area, so I'm just going to over direct this all back so I don't cut too much into my shape and just remove a little bit of connection through that. There we go. Cool. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. So as I start working with the rest of the hair, I wasn't kind of sure of how I wanted to do this because she does have, let's kind of break down the skull shape a little bit, you know, because her skull shape is very, very lean through her sides, but as you can kind of see, it's not very wide, you know? She's got a very lean top of the crown area. So I know that like I can break this down into two little sections if I wanted to, but since I want everything in the back to have just this beautiful silhouette through here and have a little bit of disconnection between the top and the back, I'm just gonna kind of work this little area now. And some things that we were talking about is she was just saying that it's just, the layering is just a little bit grown out. You know, as you can kind of see through the back here, there's not a lot of layering through the back. So we really want to break up some of this weight, add some shape, and really kind of see a nice little silhouette through the top area. So I'm going to kind of take this, I'm going to break this down. Again, I'm going to kind of re-wet everything, set myself up. And also to kind of, I use New Wash to prep her. I'm a big fan of New Wash. It is by Hair Story Studio. And it's my favorite thing for curly or textured hair of any form because it's a 2-in-1 little cleanser, and it like breaks down the oils, but it doesn't reset all the oils. It doesn't remove all the oils. It like rehydrates and recycles and rebalances them throughout the whole hair. So this is a great cleansing for any people that have dry texture, textured hair. I have a little thing on my Instagram link tree too for 20% off if you guys are new people and want to try some of it out. If you go to that little link tree bio, you'll be able to find that and get the little qualified quote or the code on that. So yeah, if you guys want to come back here a little bit and just kind of see all this weight. Right here, see how she's got all this beautiful texture, but you can't really see it. So what I'm going to be doing is creating some shorter pieces through this top area through here, and just creating this nice little triangular brooch through the top here. So everything's going to be directed straight up from where it lives on the top of the head. And then I think I'm going to be working 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1 back to the center, just so I can have a little bit of length on this side, just to fill this area in a little bit and add a little bit more connection. Cool. So again, I am working with the white tooth part of the comb, taking skinnier sections now down the center area. And I'm just kind of working to this bone area, right through the back here, right where the occipital kind of sits in. So I always kind of use this bone as my guide because everything underneath this area, this is our safety zone. This is our length, you know, everything underneath here protects us from people getting people pissed off at us, really. You know, so I always kind of work to this bone, and then at the very end, I'll go back through, see if I need to add some connection, or maybe I just leave it disconnected. But that little bone is kind of a good little indication of where to let the hair live. So again, I'm going to bring everything kind of straight up from where it lives. Let me take my rings off, although they're cute.
Cute, not functional.
Cute, not functional. It's such a disappointment. I hate that. So let me just kind of resaturate a little bit too, just to be smart. And that's the thing with curly hair. The slightest little bit of dryness on it, it's a different fabric, it's a different texture. You know, we really have to control, if you are using a razor on the hair that's curly, you really need to control the inside with lots of moisture, you know? So again, I'm gonna go right to this little occipital bone area. I'm gonna draw everything kind of up, straight up from where it lives.
Wow, that's so long.
I know, like, do you see how long it is, right?
Holy cow.
So I'm gonna kind of use this as my little guide, but I don't want to connect it into the fringe area, like 100%. So I'm gonna kind of use this guide, and I'm looking at the bend of the hair again. So I know that this bend lives right through here, but I know if I cut right kind of around this little area, that's kind of where the last little bend kind of sets in. So I'm just kind of evaluating her curl structure too, and looking at the bend, using this as my semi-guide. And then I'm gonna take this little chunk and just kind of stroke all the way up until it breaks up all that weight. And you can kind of see the guide drop out. And again, I'm just gonna kind of come through here. And it's just like very, very light strokes when you're removing weight and adding shape. You just wanna kind of take the blade and just lightly stroke it. And it just breaks up that weight. Everything kind of straight up from where it lives, and now I can kind of big stroke and take out off all that little hair. And now if you kind of come back here, brother, you can kind of see this little pop of funness up in the crown area, you know? So when this kind of lives in here, everything is going to be a lot more connected and filled in through the top area. But now it's like bouncing up here, you know what I mean? I'm like, so pretty. It has some pop up here. Again, so I'm going to take my next section. Everything straight up from where it lives. And again, I can kind of use my guide from underneath here. And what's really important too, I think, with the razor is like, you'll know visually where to cut based on this, like, the strength. Come on over here, brother. Let me kind of show you what I'm like. This is definitely a little visual because we are not like using a guide like 100%. So see how there's like thicker chunks through here? And then this next little panel is like a little bit thicker chunk. I'm working within that little corridor. I don't know why I keep saying that, but there we go. And I'm just kind of stroking and taking out all that little weight. And then I can kind of come through here and bigger stroke, remove that little guy. And then as you kind of start stroking from underneath too, you're removing all that weight, but allowing some of that length to live on top. So you have kind of a nice little dimension of short pieces with long pieces to help support that short to long approach, you know?
It's almost like finding the windows.
Finding the windows,
Yeah.
exactly. That's funny. I've heard that one before.
Finding the
Like,
windows in the hair.
the windows in the hair. So again, I'm just working like right around that little bone through the back area. And I don't want that to go into that area because again, that's my guide from, that's the length. And she has referred me to not cut her length. So I'm going to stay there so she doesn't take me. Never.
It's deceiving how long my hair is when it's growing though.
You know? I'm like, it's so pretty. But now you can start to see some pop through her crown area.
It already feels lighter when you pick it up.
You know? And then as we can kind of see this pop through the crown, but you can also see through the bottom here what we haven't done yet, and how it just probably needs a little bit of connection through the bottom area, which we're going to get to in just a sec. But okay, taking my next section. Again, I'm using the Wise Part comb too from Hairbrain. It's one of my favorite combs. It's just very light, it's bendable, moldable, and I like the feeling of it in my hand. And I also got this razor from Hairbrain too. It's the plie, and it's just a beautiful tool. Very light, very manageable, very light in the hand, nice stroking. Does anyone have any questions right now or want to talk about anything? So yeah, another thing too, I'm like, I am a salon owner here in Las Vegas, so I'm like, if anyone has any questions about anything hair related, I am a good connoisseur for that. I have been doing hair for 12 years. I've been working behind the chair for 12 of those years. And I really, you know, I love hair so much, but I love the people connected to the hair the most, you know? And like the heart is my favorite thing about doing hair. And really, like, the beautiful thing about hair is how transformative it is, you know what I mean? We get to kind of transform and sculpt things for people that, you know, my favorite thing is whenever clients say, I never knew my hair could do that, you know? And you're like, of course your hair could do that. When it's cut properly to based on texture and density and head shape and tension and control, like you can honestly create anything for anyone. So I'm like, that's what hair connect has been for me, you know. It's just a beautiful shift in oh, this is looking so cute.
So excited.
Right? I'm like, oh, so
It already
soft.
feels so much lighter when you pick it up.
I know. I'm like, now you can kind of see this shape starting to fill in here, which I'm really liking. But now I kind of like to see if, because like I said, we didn't kind of connect anything underneath the occipital bone area, which that's where the wheat likes to live too. So but like looking at it, you know, visually, I like the disconnection. It fills in really nicely through the top, and it doesn't seem to be too skinny at the bottom, but you can see some like weight through here at the bottom. So I'm gonna go through a little bit and just remove a little bit more weight and connection here. So I'm just gonna kind of cut through here. And I'm bringing just everything forward and just breaking through some of those little lines. And I'm honestly, right now, this is just kind of more of a little visual approach, just looking for weight, looking for maybe color that influences my eyes. She's got some really cool color through here. But as you can see, this looks pretty dense to me through because it's just nice and like solid, which I really enjoy because I do want to keep a nice strong perimeter, but I am just going to break up a little weight that way. Draw everything kind of over here and just kind of come in through the bottom and melt that little guy off. Cool. And again through the back area. Again, this is like just a little bit more visual. I kind of like to see the shape diffuse before I start making these decisions, but I'm like, I'm gonna kind of go in through here just for time purposes and whatnot, and just kind of do a little bit connection through the back. And again, I'm just removing that little bit of weight through the back area.
You did all the hearts. Way to go, Amber.
Oh,
Love,
you
love is so
guys.
talented.
Thank you. I love you all. Thank you guys all for being here. This is really special for me tonight. I had the best night of my life last night. I had so much fun. I danced so hard, you guys. I'm sore today. But I've been missing teaching, and I've been missing like hairdressers. Like I feel like we haven't got to connect in so long, and you know, I've been missing all of you. So thank you for being here with us.
Karen says, so Stevie Nicks in the 70s, my high school college haircut, 76 to 80.
Yes, this is the one. Did you see my Stevie Nicks over here? Does she know? Does she know?
Literally all in life I want to be a Stevie Nicks.
That's all I want to be, is Stevie Nicks. She's my soul sister.
The white
I
wish.
just want to do like drugs like Stevie Nicks too. I wish I could party like party animals. So this is just a little unite. This is a 7-second leave-in treatment. I'm just kind of rehydrating everything now before I diffuse. And I think that's another important part before you diffuse, is to make sure everything is nice and saturated. Because if there, like I said, if there's a little bit of dryness through the middle, it's gonna dry with a lot more frizz in there. So this is just gonna fill in that little frizzy area through the bottom here. And then I'm gonna go through with a little bit of the hair balm from Hair Story as well. I love this stuff. It's really good for textured curly hair, but I kind of use a good little amount, and I just break it down really good into my hand. Any creams, cream-based products, I don't use a lot of foams. I don't really like a lot of heavy things in curly hair especially. So I really break down this product pretty good into my hands, and I kind of use it as like a little lotion. And then I can kind of use like my fingers to kind of get in there and really like just break through some of these curls, add a little bit of control to it.
She didn't have a mask on because they couldn't hear earlier, so
Oh,
that's
sorry.
why. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Anyway, I'm
okay.
just letting them know. Someone's asking. And we are also here in Las Vegas at Amber Salon at Noise Project, downtown Las Vegas.
Yeah. So again, I'm just kind of emulsifying those little, and again, I kind of like to set everything really nice and polished whenever I'm about to diffuse too. Get everything off of where it lives and just get it kind of ready for the diffusing perch.
Everyone's loving it, sister.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I think this is gonna be fun. Let's do some diffusing. I want to see this shape expanded. Now with diffusing, I'm like, less is more. Look at all this hair on my hands right here. I'm like, what's that?
Just shedding. I always shed.
And like, what's happening on my hands? Okay, so with diffusing, I like to put it on a medium setting and a medium heat. Just for control, I kind of depend on the texture and the time, I guess you could say, with the heat index. You know, everyone kind of says something different, but I just like to have a lot of control and not a lot of movement on the actual blow dryer. If you see the hair moving, that means it's too high. So yeah, everything is just nice and controlled. So I do use the Dyson, so I took the heat down to medium.
I love that hair dryer.
Oh, it's so nice. So just like 2 and 2, you know? And then I'm just gonna have you dip your head forward just a little bit.
Yes, you'll be able to watch this later too, sorry.
Right through here. And tell me if it gets too hot, babe, okay? Okay. And I really just kind of get in there with the diffuser and use my hands and just let it set in there. Ira likes to use a chopstick. I think that's great too. But anything that just kind of doesn't spread the curls and make them go out, and yes, perfect. And like I said, less is more. You know, you ask clients how they diffuse their hair, you know, and they do this like crazy number where they're doing this whole like aerobic thing. I don't know what's happening, but that is not the best approach for those types of situations.
No.
You know,
A lot of frizz.
lots of frizz, lots of tangles, too much, you know. So you just kind of let it just set in there, and then I always just keep asking if it's too hot.
All the best with that, Karen.
Huh?
I said all the best with that, Karen. Karen says,
I'm 64 now, but getting ready to die. What's?
sorry. Super hot.
Oh, with her. We're so funny on the lives. You know it.
I'm so excited to see it.
I know, me too. I'm so excited.
I've like, since I started doing it curly, all I've wanted is that volume at the top, and I feel like we never like achieved it. So I'm so excited to see
You
it.
know, and like, and it's gonna be so nice too to just see the curls kind of live with like purpose. to
Yeah.
them, you know,
Exactly.
and like have a lot of like fluidity and.
Well, and I feel like it's easier when it has like a cut that fits it. Your curls just do what you want it to do.
Exactly. You know, when the shape and the technique influences the style, like it's done. Your hair is done. You know.
It's super interesting to hear you talk about hip shape and stuff too. There's like a lot of stylists don't think about that.
That's the other thing. Like with landscape, you know what I mean? Like people don't understand that we are working with a 3-dimensional moving object. You know, that transfers and moves all the time. Like
You can't copy and paste
you
technique.
can't copy and paste technique. Amen. You know. And that's another thing too, is just like understanding the head and the bones and the structures, because that's what's going to help influence the complete overall look and shape of the style, you know? Okay, now put your head back a little bit. Maybe too. So since we went forward, now I kind of want it to live a little bit more back and fill out this back area. So I'll just have her put her little head down back, and I can kind of come through here. just looking so cute. I think your bangs might be like perfectly length.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I think that length was like
It's
the guy
so-
that goes shorter, you know?
Yeah, it's so crazy too, even from this stage, when they like dry completely, they shrink. I'm blind until I diffuse my bangs.
You know. Do you diffuse naturally or do you air dry?
I usually have to just because my bangs are like down to here when they're wet.
When they're wet.
So I have to at least do
Just
that
bring
so
them
I
up
can,
a little bit.
so I can see.
So you can see a little bit?
Yeah.
And then do you diffuse from there or air dry from there?
I usually will like, I'll diffuse my bangs, let it dry so it's like 80-ish%, and then I'll go in with the diffuser and kind of like finish out.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
She has beautiful head of hair. So envious. You did such a great job.
I'm so envious too. I'm like obsessed with this. So then now,
And why is Dyson your favorite dryer yet?
why is Dyson my favorite dryer?
I guess so. Someone asked.
Oh, I'm like technology, the fastness, the lightness, the quietness. Like one of the girls, Dyson's hair dryer in the salon, and it's just so loud. You can't hear her when she talks. I know what you're saying right now. You know. So now I would say this is about 80% dried, you know, maybe 85-ish. There is a little bit of moisture still in there. But what I like to do whenever most of the moisture is out, I like to kind of evaluate the shape. And I want to have you just like kind of shake your head from side to side a little bit. Yeah, move it around. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's perfect. Then you can kind of see all this kind of move and lift. So now you can kind of come in and do a little bit more visually cutting. And just removing some like weight and shortness here in the, and I'm just kind of using my scissor to just detail some of these curls. And where they kind of look a little flat, I can add some popness through the crown area through here too. I think that would be fun. Some popness. Corridor and popness have been the words of the night.
Reinventing haircuts.
You know, and now I can kind of see the shape of her fringy area. I'm gonna have you look up a little bit. There we go. Now I can kind of see her little face. So now I kind of want to detail so I can see the little, and I'm just like going through and kind of doing this underneath little bits. Just to kind of highlight and outline her curls a little bit. My favorite thing right now is structure with fluidity, you know? So by putting in a strong line with texture and movement, it adds strength and you know, longevity, I would say, you know? Oh, this is looking so cute. Your color looks fun too. I did not do this color.
Yeah, the color looks great.
Yeah, the color, who did your color?
Simonetta.
Simonetta in
Yeah,
Las
she's
Vegas.
gorgeous,
Beautiful
Yeah,
work.
very pretty color.
Simonetta. But I just fell in love with her texture here. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through now and just break up some of these little curls. I can kind of now visually see. Oh, is that Louis? Louis having a meltdown over there.
He's like, I need a shower.
I need a shower. I need a shower.
Totally need a shower.
He would too. Louis.
No color for shower.
I know, I gotta get it off. She's so patient, this one. Look at her.
Take this with
Yeah, there you go. I know, like 3%.
I felt it the
hot.
first snip, it was all just going right in.
I know, like it's so beautiful. Cool, dude. I'm like, okay, let me I'm gonna reset it a little bit too with just a little bit of, this is Hair Stories Texture Undressed. Another favesies of mine. Just to kind of get the frizz away and repolish the ends. I love to see just natural curls. Like most of the time too, I don't really like to diffuse all the way because I do like the hair to air dry a little bit, so it is a little bit more natural and movable. So I prep it again with just this little undressed. And then depending on their day, you know, I'll ask them if they would rather me take out some of the moisture or if they're cool with just letting it air dry, because I do like the shape to kind of diffuse a little bit too after infusing it so much.
Like this new cut, would you recommend that more often? Like letting it air dry a little bit more?
I love air dried
Cool.
hair, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I really do. Like, I always like a little bit of diffusing
Yeah.
to help set and, like,
Lift it a little bit.
you know, and kind of just give it, like, a little bit of form. But then, like, you air dry it and, like,
It
it's
gets
just,
that
like,
wave.
yeah, it, like, has its own, like, movement to it, you know? Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions about anything? I love it. It's looking so cute.
You can see my face.
And I'm like, I'm gonna take this little thing up. Yeah, I'm like, I kind of want to see your little face too, so you can see how cute you look. Yeah, see your little face. Yeah. I'll take a step back and just kinda, like,
Gorgeous.
move it
Love it,
around
Amber.
and
Awesome.
people see it's so cute, right?
I love this part, like
You
how
know,
my
the
bangs
little-
sit on my face.
You know, and I think as everything kind of naturally kind of dries, it'll just get bigger, and you'll just keep getting this like beautiful Diana Ross
Sheer
shape,
Diana Ross
sheer
hair.
Diana Ross hair. You know, because she has that texture. But I'm like, this grow out will be really nice too,
Oh, it's gonna
because
be
it is so lean.
It feels so much lighter too.
Yeah, it should. We cut out a lot of it. I'm like,
I'm looking at
but
the
it's
floor.
like very similar shape to, you know, how you previously had
Yeah.
it, just like lifting it
Elevated.
in a little bit more fluidity.
I love how the bangs sit.
I do too.
I always notice myself having to go like
Like
this.
lift them up a little
yeah,
bit.
throughout the day because it gets so heavy.
No more lift here, yay! And I'm just gonna kind of put a little bit more of the hair balm in it, just to kind of get rid of a little bit of the frizz. And again, I'm gonna go back through here, just kind of like hand mold. And she did have we did shampoo her today, so her, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of super clean hair, if I'm being honest, you know, because we gotta have some oils back into it. But I really enjoy this shape, it's so fun.
I love it.
I love it too, yay! Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate and love you all. Just to kind of reiterate, we just did a little shag curly haired shape. I broke the head shape down from the top of the crown forward, putting my little comb at the top of it, wherever that lifted off, that's what I brought forward. Over directed everything, kind of cut my round little outline. Disconnected a little bit the top from the front to the back here. Just lifting all the weight up and adding a nice little movement to the interior. Yeah, I think it looks beautiful and balanced and pretty.
I love it.
Everyone loves it.
Yay. Thank you everyone, we love you.
Thanks.